Hi, my name is Laura DeCiantis, and I'm currently a Master's of Educational Leadership student at Vancouver Island University. My project work focuses on the impacts of mobile learning pedagogy on student learning in face-to-face classrooms. Now, I know that's a mouthful, so to break that down, what we'll be focusing is on how to bring mobile learning into the face-to-face classroom. As part of my project work, I've created quite a few assessment tools, and as you can see, the assessment framework is quite large and needs further explanation on how to use it. So today I'm going to be going through and explaining the different categories, as you see here, and then I'll go back and explain each category even further so that you understand how to use this tool as a quick observational, real-time assessment in your classroom. It was really important to me as I created this project that I was making tools that were authentic and technologically relevant and that could be used in classrooms easily, because mobile learning will not be brought into classrooms if each application is extremely difficult to use. So I'm trying to create intuitive, easy to use tools that teachers will actually use. The first area, connections to content, assessing curricular competencies, and this area is continued, evaluating student learning. You have your proficiency legend, student proficiency average, communicating student learning, and down here you have each student in your classroom. So you're going to populate these areas with student names, which you can do through clicking and renaming each one, but I just have student A, student B right now. And at the very end, so I have 20 students in my class, each student gets a sheet, and I have a summary sheet at the very end, which is going to tell me how the student is doing as I assess them. One of the great things about Google Sheets is that it's a live, real-time document. So all of the assessments that we're going to be doing inform your teaching as it's happening. Very cool. In the connections to content area and the assessing curricular competencies area, I've taken the BC's new curriculum learning standards and I've applied them here. So say you're teaching a biodiversity unit and you are looking at organisms evolving over time, survival needs, and natural selection. As you go through and observe your students, I would suggest only focusing on one of these curricular competency categories at a time, just so you can streamline and simplify your assessment. I'm going to be focusing on questioning and predicting today. The student that I'm observing, student A, proficient in these categories. And you don't have to, if they're not doing every single subcategory in the category focus, don't click on them. For the purposes of this demonstration, let's click on they're doing proficient in that area. So I've only assessed questioning and predicting, so I'm going to check that I've looked at the category 1. And as you see, it has populated the evaluating student learning section. Don't pay attention to that error. As we go along, you will see that it will populate all of these areas. So what you will see is that they're proficient, and that's their average for right now. So in the communicating student learning area, assessment date, March 10th, growth noted, I click on that area, and I go over to insert, and I scroll down to comment, and it pops up a little comment box because I find that one cell is often not enough for observations that I want to make. And I type in, press comment, now it's in there. If you hover over that cell, you'll see your assessment comment. So today, she doesn't need any comment on areas needing support. I'm going to zoom up so you can see a little bit more clearly what you're working with. So say the next assessment date, you're going to be focusing on planning and conducting, and the student is still doing really well, but maybe having a bit of a stumble with controlling the variables of her research project, still having a little bit of a stumble, but is really great with sort of the ethical guidelines that are necessary for scientific inquiry. And as you will see over here, it has given us that she is proficient in planning and conducting. I'm going to click on that we've focused on category 2 now as well. So as you go through, I'm going to zoom out again to give you an overall picture. As you go through, it will show you the areas that you've already assessed, so you don't need to focus on those. You can look at different areas for assessment the next time you do. It is important to note that as you go through and use this assessment tool, that you do not click on multiple proficiency indicators underneath the categories. So if your student's proficient, you wouldn't click developing as well. What happens is each of these proficiency indicators, I've assigned a numerical value in the formula that I've used to create this average. So clicking more than one in each category and subcategory will disrupt the formula that I've created. While you use this assessment framework, it's important that you do not change any of the formulas that I've written. So as you see, some of these cells will have formulas written in them, and they take averaging calculations to turn them into colors and words. And if you change my formulas, which you see, then you will affect the calculation. So please do not tamper with any of the formulas that I've written, or the tool will not work correctly. I would also like to mention the great resources that I use to make this framework. There is a lovely educator named Jennifer Morose that is in the Prince George School District, and she is a resource teacher that is adapting BC's new curriculum into assessment tools that teachers can use in their classroom. So she created an assessment tool very similar to this one. I decided to translate the learning standards more directly, and she used a more summarized version. So I've elaborated on some of her great ideas and added my own to create what I think is a really well-rounded document that will help with observational assessment. So thank you, Jennifer. If you would like to use this assessment tool in your own teaching or professional development and play around with it for a little bit, what you're going to do is go to the top left, click File, Make a Copy. You can label it whatever you would like, and it will be saved to your own drive, and you will click OK. And then you'll have a copy of this framework that you can use. If you have any further questions about how to use this assessment framework in your own teaching and learning, please contact me at dciantis.laura@gmail.com, and I will answer any questions that you have. And I hope that this brief tutorial was helpful in how to use this assessment framework. Thank you.